No, it doesn't. The question is, the premise is right. AI is a tool that political leaders, scientific leaders, non-governmental leaders, community leaders need to use. It will not solve anything on its own. So thank you for that. Yes, I mean, we do have a need for more bold leadership, as was in that room 248 years ago. Every single person in that room knew that if they signed that Declaration of Independence and the wrong side won, they would probably lose their lives for treason. Well, first, it shouldn't fall to philanthropy. we need governments and corporations and NGOs. So there are no silver bullets. It's a jigsaw puzzle. Philanthropy can be a very helpful part of the jigsaw puzzle. Philanthropy can move quickly. It can take risks in a way that governments can't take. I used to work running the British Foreign Assistance Program development, and we had to be very careful because there were parliamentary committees that could read things wrong. There was the Daily Mail that would, exploit it. Philanthropy can take risks, and so we're very useful at that, and we work with any shade of government if they want to do the right thing. And we can work alongside them, we can do things quickly, we can do design work, we can do monitoring work, and then we also work with the private sector. The private sector is essential to being part of the solution here. So the question is absolutely right. You could get two very, very wise, very, very knowledgeable people, and you could say, are you optimistic or pessimistic? And one would say, it's amazing how exciting things are, the progress we're making. Did you know that since President Jimmy Carter put solar panels on the roof of the White House in 1979, the price of solar panels has fallen by 99.8%. It's amazing what we're doing. And did you know, and they will go through all these did you knows. It's incredible. Look at EVs, they're taking off. Look at etc. And then you talk to the other person, you say, are you optimistic or pessimistic? And they say, we're going over a cliff. We're a bunch of lemmings. There's no way back. It's hopeless. And the question is, can they both be right? Well, they can't be right if one says hopeless. But if one says I'm very pessimistic and one says I'm optimistic, they can both be right. We've got to hold these two truths equally. We are in dire situations. There are tipping points out there that are very negative. The Amazon is getting close to something called the Amazon dieback. Amazon dieback is when you lose enough of the forest, you actually start turning into savanna. Why does that matter? It matters for lots of reasons, one of which is weather patterns. Weather patterns change radically. Also, you lose, all that carbon goes into the air, so you create this sort of negative loop. So too in Russia and northern Canada, we have, trillions of tons of methane in the permafrost. Once you reach a certain time, that gets released, and then there's no going back. So it is very serious, and it's particularly important that young people like you keep saying that. And indeed, the Secretary General of the United Nations takes that line very much indeed. But if you simply stay in that line, you're never going to do anything. If you think that you've got a chance of getting into the Olympic team, you'll get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym and you'll work hard. If you think you've no chance, you'll stay in bed. We need people to think that there is a chance because we believe there is a chance, but they need to believe it or they will not act with enough enthusiasm. Great question. Well, first, we'd love to talk to you. On the front row is Fiona McGrath. Could you stand up? So if you'd like to come down afterwards, Fiona would be a great person to talk to you. Our daughter is an environmental student too, and she's just started working, she's moved to London, and she's working with a group called Global Optimism. And what it is trying to do is to shift that narrative from the green blues, I love that, from the green blues to hope and possibility. And basically using pretty sophisticated analysis to show it is not hopeless. It really is not hopeless. And that's why it's important to see those slides which showed what happened to automobiles after horses. Things can change quickly. There's another famous slide, I wish I'd shown it, which shows how quickly technologies are absorbed. I mean, it's incredible. Within 15 years, you go from 0 to 60% of refrigerators or electric or telephones. I mean, it's incredible how quickly technology can be adopted if there is high quality and low price. That's a superb question. Look, we know what the risks are. We don't know them all, but we know some of them, like, fake news and so on. We got to go after that with everything. Plain fact of the matter is AI is here. So from our standpoint, we want to make sure that it does as much good as possible. So we will, in everything we do, we'll be looking at risks, but we're not going to be frozen in the headlights. Why? Because there are things out there that need to be sorted, and this is, we believe, a God-given tool that can be used. Now, we don't know how effective it's going to be, and there may be some negative consequences which we need to monitor very, very carefully. But we do believe that we are at an exciting, pivotal, historic stage in our history, and we need to use this tool, yes. We are a totally separate legal entity, so we have no legal relationship whatsoever with Amazon or with Washington Post or with Blue Origin, which is the space company. We know them, but we have there's absolutely no formal, the decisions we make are totally and utterly independent of that, and decisions they make, I think, are totally independent of what we do. No, this is a philanthropic fund, quite separate. What I would say is that dealing with, a guy like Jeff Bezos is profoundly exciting. If you've been around as long as I have, you sort of tend to think you've sort of seen it all and you've looked at every angle on the elephant, but you meet people that are actually quite different and have come through just incredible sort of success, and they have a way of looking at things which sometimes even, if you've been around a long time, you say, well, that's interesting. And so in a way, it's thrilling. I guess I'd say two things. One, I mean, are such people willing to look at science? And by science, we mean peer-reviewed, respectable science. 99% of scientists would say that actually what we're seeing in the upper atmosphere is human-induced, and it's not very complicated, actually, to figure out how much carbon dioxide and methane and other gases have gone up there. And then also, I mean, its impact is now just locked in many regards scientifically. And so, for example, you look at the hurricane this week, Hurricane Beryl. Climate change probably didn't cause that hurricane. But we know that warmer seas, it's just simple Physics 101, warmer seas and warmer air will result in more moisture and more wind being generated, and that's just part of his. So I would say number one is see if we could take them to the science. But number two, I would say, even if you don't believe in science, you love your grandchildren. You take out insurance policies, don't you? You don't actually think your child is going to be kidnapped, but you probably are careful. Why would you not take out insurance, since it doesn't really cost anything? Actually, a greener world is a nicer world, so why would you not at least, just on the law of probability, why would you not say, my goodness me, do I really want my great-granddaughter and my grandson to say, for heaven's sake, this is what you left us? Yeah, absolutely the right question. At the end of the day, it's about being good stewards. Who are the best stewards? The best stewards are those who are close enough to the action. We've put $300 million into the hands of what are called environmental justice advocates in this country. They are people working in the inner cities and in rural areas with communities that basically are trying to help those communities be part of the solution and not to suffer as much as they do. Environmental damage hurts poor people more than it hurts rich people. Go to any European city, see where the wind flows, where the river flows. It's the East End of London that was the poor part of London. Why? Because the River Thames flows east and the wind blows east. It's the West End of London is the rich part of London. All over the world, every environmental problem tends to hurt poor people more. So number one, we've got to invest hugely to redress that balance. Number two, we actually, these people on the front lines actually are the people that will be part of the solution. And so we have a very disciplined approach, and we work with indigenous people. We've just actually made $40 million of grants to First Nations in Canada after negotiation with the government, where the government of Canada is now establishing the biggest set of protected areas in the world on land, and it's giving the management of that to the First Nations. So we came in and helped them design it, and we're helping to finance it. Why? Because we believe that's the right thing to do. Wow. Wow. Whew. Fiona, would you like to stand up? Honey, you want to take that one? This is my wife. Actually, so I would say one thing. They've just done a massive review of what motivates people to change on climate change. And after a huge effort, they came out with one word: love. 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 You will act if you love your spouse, if you love your children, if you love your grandchildren, if you love humanity, you will act. So I'm not sure that's the second answer. You were about to say vote. Yes. My wife is giving me the correct answer, but I can't read her lips. But do come down and meet her afterwards. And by the way, also Fiona is here. Fiona did these beautiful slides. So thank you, Fiona.
Chautauqua, please join me in thanking Sir Andrew Spear.
Thank you very much.